Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This channel is called Common Sense Creation. And in this channel, I talk about all the reasons that cause me to believe in a God and in Jesus Christ. And the reason why I call it Common Sense Creation is because, as I said in other videos, that you don't need a whole bunch of letters after your name, big degrees and what have you, to question things. If something is put out and you don't understand or you disagree with it, by all means question it. And you don't have to be a scientist to do that. So this is kind of like what this channel is about. It's not anything high tech. If you like what is being talked about on this channel, please consider becoming a subscriber. Tap the subscribe button and also the little bell icon. Tap that too so you don't miss anything. And I hope that our discussions will be civil, okay, because not everybody agrees with me. I was recently dressed down by some young girl on the channel, and her only proof that she gave me was I'm 2 or 3 times her age and I don't know anything. Well, I mean that's okay. I don't mind that. So, like I said, but I delete those comments. If you disagree with me, no problem. But please keep the comments very civil, very kind. Okay. Now this is Holy Thursday, so I thought that I would repeat some of the things that I did in some other videos. And what I want to talk about today, being that it's the Holy Week, is Jesus Christ. Now, why that's so significant is that Jesus Christ, he didn't suggest, he said he was God. He said that because he says, me and the Father are one. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. So he said he was God. So if Jesus Christ could be proven, then God is proven. Okay? So what I want to start with is that in the past, I have talked with people that disagreed with me. And one of the things that was significant is they says that there is nothing ever outside of the Bible mentioned about Jesus, so he probably never existed. Now, I'm just going to be brief, and I encourage, if you're really searching, to look this up. But three very prominent Jewish historians, ancient Jewish historians that were not Christians, and I have to reiterate that because that just gives more credibility, that mentioned Jesus. And three of them, one of them, his name was Flavius Josephus, Tacitus, and I think the other one, Pliny the Younger. Now, Pliny the Younger, his dad, Pliny the Elder, was killed during the earthquake in Pompeii. He was trying to rescue people and lost his life. But, anyways, his son, Pliny the Younger, and there are other ones too, but those are the three that I found that to lend the most credibility to this. They mention Jesus, and one of the historians even mentions the earthquake in the year 33 AD, and also the eclipse in the year 33 AD. And the significance of that is, and the earthquake, it could be proven because it was on a NASA website where they keep track of all the earthquakes, and there was one in 33 AD. And and the other thing that's very significant is the eclipse. Everybody knows the story when Jesus breathed his last, the earthquake, and before he died, the darkening into the earth or the eclipse. But like the NASA sites and even the ancient historians would say, but the eclipse was impossible because the moon was nowhere near. It should have been during this darkening of the earth. So those are very miraculous things that happen. You know, you can't explain those by nature or by some scientific law, because, like I says, the moon was nowhere as near it was supposed to be, but yet there was a darkening of the earth and the earthquake in 33 AD. So that being said, and even atheists today, they acknowledge that yes, there was a man, Jesus Christ, that lived. Okay, so now that we proved that he lived, um, I wanted to talk about just a couple of the people that are most interesting to me. One being Paul the Apostle, who was previously called Saul of Tarsus, and then he became Paul the Apostle. who died in the year 64, which is the same year as the fire in Rome. Uh, and Paul also wrote most of the New Testament. So to me, he's my New Testament hero next to Jesus. Okay. One of the arguments that I heard though was, well, yes, there was a Jesus, but he really didn't die on the cross. They put him in the tomb and he revived and managed to get out of the tomb. And okay, but the problem I have with that, and now me as a retired paramedic, I've seen a lot of trauma and hearing hearing how Jesus was flogged he was flogged almost to death, and then the crucifixion with all the massive blood loss, he could not have survived it. He would have bled out. But he had that, let's just say, just for the sake of argument, he was put in the tomb and then he revived himself. Number one, he couldn't have moved the stone. He'd have been too weak. And number two, had he come out of that tomb with that massive blood loss and those massive wounds, he would not look like anybody that was worth worshiping. He can come out and say, "See, I come from the dead," but he would look horrible because of all the trauma that his body endured. So, um, no, so he died and he was put in the tomb. And the other thing was that the body was stolen, for instance. Now in Rome, we see on all the little Easter cards where the guy, the guard guarding the tomb of Jesus, one guard, one spear, and it looks all so nice. But in the Roman army, a guard was a detachment of soldiers. So there was a detachment of soldiers guarding that tomb so that the body could not be stolen. Now, had the apostles come and engaged these soldiers and stole the body, there would have been one massive firefight. There would have been casualties. There would have been dead bodies. All the apostles would have been slaughtered, and possibly one or two of the soldiers would have been slaughtered, but none of that happened. So miraculously, what happened? The body is gone. And okay. Now, you've got the apostles now who hid because they chickened out. They seen that Jesus died. There's nothing here left for us. They run, they hid, they were dejected, they were hiding. All of a sudden, these 11 guys that were just terrified that they were next and all that suddenly become very brave. They become very, very brave and they preach Jesus. And even though that the governments that tell them to quiet down, shut up, don't do that, they beat them, they flogged them, they tortured them, and yet they still preach the risen Jesus. Now, my question is, unless that really happened, would they do that for a bunch of BS, for a lie, just because they want to keep the movement alive? I wouldn't do that. If I chose to follow somebody and they convinced me that they were some supreme being and they died, well, that would be the end. Look at David Koresh. He said he was Jesus, and he was wiped out there, and you don't hear of him anymore. But yet, 2,000 some years later, Jesus is still going strong. So like I said, and there's a lot that I could put into this, and I'm going to save it for other videos too. But why I chose to talk about this today was because, like I says, Jesus said he was God. And Jesus did things even after the resurrection. Paul the Apostle even writes that he appeared to many people, hundreds of people. He does say that some of them went to sleep, they died. Some of them went to sleep, but most are still alive and they attest to it. So there was more than just a couple of the apostles and what have you, witnesses. No, there were a lot of people. Had that not happened, there would have been a big movement saying, no, it's all bunk. It's never happened, and it would have been killed. But you got the movement that's going even stronger today, even stronger today. So if you're looking for proof that there's God, and sadly I still hear this today, people saying, geez, there just doesn't seem to be any proof. Well, there it is. I mean, there it is. Search Jesus, search the apostles, and read some of the ancient writers, and you get your answer. Yes, he did exist. He does exist. And yes, he was God, so he is a God. Now, before I close, I just wanted, there was something else too that I had read on a discussion board where the corona virus now going around, that people said, see, if there was a God, how could he let this happen? Well, listen, We live in a world by our own choosing of free will. We get to do what we want. If we want to be good little boys and girls or bad little boys and girls, that's up to us, but we have to suffer the consequences. So this virus, how it started, where it started, but God didn't send this. God didn't send this. Now I think that some good can become of it because maybe God could use this as a wake up call. We're a very spoiled society, very very spoiled society. Um, everything was convenient to us. If you needed a roll of toilet paper for crying out loud, you'd run down to the Walmart or the Shop and Save, and you get a roll. Well, you can't enjoy that today because you might not find it on the shelves. So we've been very spoiled, very very spoiled. And I think it's a time that maybe God is saying, hey, look, you need to come home. You need to come back to me. And I think that our knees ought to bend a little bit more each day and get closer to God, because these are not good times. These are not good times at all. But I refuse to believe that God sent this as some sort of punishment. No, the choices we made, they punish the heck out of us. And I can speak from experience, choices that I've made that have come back to haunt me. Why am I going to blame God for it? I can't. It was my own free will. And that was the original sin. Adam didn't eat an apple on a tree. The original sin was wanting to make our own decisions, wanting to play God. That's where the original sin, that's what the original sin is. So, anyways, that's all I'm going to talk about for now. And I hope that you have a truly blessed Easter holiday. Remember, just like you keep Christ in Christmas, you definitely keep Christ in Easter, because this is the most significant holiday for Christians of the year, of all time. Okay. So, anyways, that's all. I'm not going to bore you anymore. Uh, please stay safe. Please stay safe. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. Social distancing. Let's get this under control so that we can return to some normalcy so that I could go down and buy a roll of toilet paper. Okay. So, have a blessed Easter. Know that I love you. I'm thinking of all of you. And I will talk to you very soon. Thank you. God bless you.